Welcome to our step-by-step guide on creating a healthy and sustainable garden. Now, I know the heat and humidity here in Accra can feel like a challenge, but trust me, with a little bit of knowledge and a lot of love, you can cultivate a garden that's not just productive, but bursting with life. We'll be taking you through everything, from understanding your soil and choosing the right plants to keeping pests at bay and making sure your garden thrives year-round. It's about working with nature, not against it, to create a little haven right here in your own backyard. So grab your gardening gloves and let's get started on this exciting journey together. It's time to get your hands dirty and discover the magic of gardening in Accra. Now, before we even think about sinking a trowel into the earth, we need a plan. Take a good look at your space. Where does the sun fall throughout the day? Most vegetables, herbs and flowering plants thrive with at least 6 hours of direct sunlight. And how's the drainage? We don't want our plants waterlogged. Next, consider the layout. Do you envision neat rows, raised beds, or perhaps a more informal cottage garden feel? Sketch it out if that helps. Remember, good soil is the foundation of any successful garden. I always recommend getting your soil tested. This will tell you the pH level, nutrient content, and composition. Here in Accra, our soil tends to be slightly acidic, so you might need to add some lime to adjust the pH if needed. Finally, think about your lifestyle. Do you have time for a high-maintenance garden, or do you need something more manageable? There's no shame in starting small and expanding as you gain confidence. Now let's talk about getting our hands dirty, quite literally. The first step is enriching the soil. Think of it as laying the foundation for a healthy, productive garden. I always recommend adding plenty of organic matter like compost or well-rotted manure. This not only adds essential nutrients but also improves soil structure, making it easier for roots to penetrate and access water. Now, I'm a firm believer in avoiding chemical fertilizers. They might offer a quick fix, but in the long run, they can damage the soil structure and harm those beneficial microorganisms that are essential for healthy plant growth. Once you've added your organic matter, it's time to loosen the soil. Here in Accra, the heat can bake the ground quite hard, making it difficult for roots to grow. A garden fork is your best friend here. Gently turn the soil over, breaking up any large clumps and allowing air and water to circulate freely. And there you have it, a well-prepared bed, ready to welcome your new plants and set them up for a thriving life in your Accra garden. Selecting the right plants is crucial for gardening success in Accra's climate. Native plants are always a good bet. They've adapted over generations to thrive in our local conditions, meaning they're naturally more resistant to pests and diseases and require less water. Now, when you're at the nursery, resist the urge to buy on impulse. Take your time and inspect each plant carefully. Look for vibrant foliage, sturdy stems, and avoid anything with wilting leaves, signs of pests or disease. Now, if you're set on a particular plant that's not native to Accra, do a bit of research. Make sure it can tolerate the heat and humidity, or be prepared to provide some extra care. Remember, gardening is all about working with nature, and choosing the right plants is the first step to a harmonious and fruitful relationship. And don't be afraid to experiment. There's such a wide variety of plants that thrive in Accra, from vibrant bougainvillea and fragrant jasmine to leafy greens and delicious fruits. So have fun with it and see what brings you joy. Now let's talk about watering, which is crucial here in Accra, especially during the dry season. But remember, it's not just about how much you water, but how you water. The key is to water deeply and less frequently. This encourages roots to grow deeper into the soil, making them more resilient during dry spells. I always recommend watering early in the morning or late in the afternoon. The sun is less intense at these times, meaning less water is lost to evaporation. And try to water the soil directly rather than overhead watering. This prevents water from landing on the leaves, which can lead to fungal diseases, especially in our humid climate. And always check the soil before you water. Simply stick your finger a couple of inches into the ground if it feels dry. It's time to water. Remember, overwatering can be just as harmful as underwatering. It can suffocate the roots and lead to root rot. So find that balance and listen to your plants. They'll let you know what they need. Mulching is one of the simplest yet most effective things you can do for your Accra garden. It's like tucking your plants in with a cozy blanket. A good layer of mulch helps retain moisture in the soil, reducing the need for frequent watering, which is especially important during our dry season. And there are so many different types of mulch you can use. Dried grass clippings, chopped straw, wood chips, even old newspapers can do the trick. Just make sure to avoid anything treated with chemicals, as these can leach into the soil and harm your plants. Mulch also acts as a natural weed suppressant, preventing those pesky invaders from taking root and competing with your precious plants for nutrients and sunlight. And as an added bonus, organic mulches break down over time, adding valuable nutrients to the soil. So do your garden a favor and give it a good layer of mulch. Your plants will thank you for it. Weeds. They're the uninvited guests at every garden party. But don't worry, there are simple and effective ways to keep them under control without resorting to harmful chemicals. Regular weeding is key. The earlier you catch them, the better. Try to get into the habit of spending a few minutes each week walking through your garden and pulling up any weeds you see. Now, prevention is always better than cure, and one of the best ways to prevent weeds is to create a barrier. You can lay down a layer of cardboard or landscaping fabric, making sure to overlap the edges to prevent any sneaky weeds from poking through. And don't underestimate the power of dense planting. By spacing your plants closer together, you're essentially crowding out any potential weed growth. Remember, a weed-free garden not only looks neater, but also ensures that your plants have all the resources they need to thrive. Now, even with the best intentions, pests and diseases can sometimes crop up. But before you reach for the chemical sprays, remember that nature has its own ways of keeping things in check. One of the best things you can do is encourage beneficial insects to make your garden their home. These are the good guys, the predators that help keep pest populations in balance. Ladybugs, praying mantises, lacewings. These are your allies in the garden. You can attract them by planting a diverse range of flowering plants, especially those with open flowers that provide easy access to nectar and pollen. Another effective strategy is companion planting. Certain plants, when planted together, can deter pests or even enhance each other's growth. For example, planting marigolds alongside your tomatoes can help repel whiteflies and nematodes. And if you do encounter a pest or disease problem, there are plenty of natural remedies you can try before resorting to harsher chemicals. Neem oil, garlic spray, and insecticidal soap are all effective options that won't harm beneficial insects or pollute your garden. Composting is one of the most rewarding things you can do for your garden, and it's surprisingly easy. Think of it as nature's own recycling system where kitchen scraps and garden waste are transformed into nutrient-rich gold for your plants. All you need is a designated corner in your garden, a simple compost bin, or even just a pile on the ground. Start layering your brown materials, things like dried leaves, straw, and shredded paper, with your green materials such as kitchen scraps, grass clippings, and plant debris. The key is to maintain a good balance of brown and green materials. Brown materials are rich in carbon, while green materials are high in nitrogen. This balance is essential for the decomposition process. Turn the pile every now and then to provide oxygen, which helps speed up decomposition. Within a few months, you'll have a wonderful crumbly compost that you can add to your garden beds, providing your plants with a slow and steady release of nutrients. Pruning. It might seem counterintuitive, but sometimes you need to cut back to encourage growth. Pruning helps remove dead, diseased, or damaged branches, allowing the plant to focus its energy on producing new healthy growth. It also helps improve air circulation, which is particularly important in our humid climate, as it reduces the risk of fungal diseases taking hold. Now, the best time to prune depends on the plant. Some plants, like roses, benefit from a hard prune in the dormant season, while others prefer a lighter trim throughout the growing season. When pruning, always use sharp, clean tools to make clean cuts, and avoid leaving any jagged edges that could provide an entry point for diseases. And don't be afraid to experiment a little. Over time, you'll develop a feel for what each plant needs and how to prune it for optimal growth and shape. Gardening in Accra is a year-round affair, but our two distinct seasons, the dry season and the rainy season, do require some adjustments to our gardening routines. During the dry season, when rainfall is scarce, you'll need to be more diligent with watering, especially for newly planted seedlings and more established plants with deeper root systems. Mulching is your best friend during this time, as it helps retain precious moisture in the soil. The rainy season, on the other hand, brings its own set of challenges. While the rain is a welcome relief, it can also lead to waterlogged soil, which can suffocate plant roots and increase the risk of fungal diseases. To mitigate this, ensure your garden has good drainage. You can create raised beds or amend the soil with organic matter to improve drainage. The rainy season is also a good time to plant cover crops like legumes or beans in your empty beds. These cover crops help protect the soil from erosion, improve soil structure, and add nutrients back into the ground. Now, even with all the right care, it's important to remember that gardens are dynamic ecosystems. They're constantly changing and responding to their environment. That's why regular monitoring is crucial. Make it a habit to spend a few minutes each day, strolling through your garden and observing your plants. Look for any signs of pests or diseases, such as chewed leaves, discoloration, or wilting. Early detection is key to preventing a small problem from becoming a major headache. Pay attention to how your plants are growing. Are they vigorous and healthy looking, or are they stunted and struggling? This could be a sign of nutrient deficiencies or other environmental factors that need addressing. Remember, the more time you spend in your garden, the more attuned you'll become to its rhythms and needs. One of the most rewarding aspects of gardening is creating a haven for biodiversity. By planting a diverse range of plants, you're not just creating a feast for the eyes, you're also providing food and shelter for a whole host of creatures, from tiny insects to colorful birds. Think about incorporating a mix of flowering plants, herbs, vegetables, and even some native trees or shrubs if you have the space. Each plant will attract its own unique set of pollinators and beneficial insects, creating a vibrant and balanced ecosystem right in your backyard. And don't forget about providing water sources. A simple bird bath or a shallow dish of water can make a world of difference, especially during the hot, dry months. By creating a welcoming environment for wildlife, you're not only helping to support biodiversity, you're also enriching your own life with the sights and sounds of nature. Remember, a garden is more than just a collection of plants. It's a thriving ecosystem, and the more diverse it is, the healthier and more resilient it will be. So, there you have it. Our guide to creating a healthy and thriving garden here in Accra. Remember, gardening is a journey, not a destination. There will be triumphs and setbacks, but the most important thing is to enjoy the process and never stop learning. By following these steps, you can create and maintain a thriving, sustainable, and healthy garden that benefits both the environment and your well-being. Imagine stepping out into your very own green oasis, filled with the sights and scents of herbs, flowers, and fresh produce. Happy gardening!